Welcome back to Crochet ADHD. I'm your host, Jackie. If this is your first time visiting my channel, I consider you a one-hit wonder. I'm glad you're here. If you are a repeat offender, a member of the GlamFam, let me just say, I don't remember. There's a pattern, a knitting pattern company that every month through their newsletter, they are giving away a free dishcloth pattern along with a recipe that goes along with the dishcloth. Like I don't know, like if it was a biscotti dishcloth, then you get a recipe for a biscotti. Anyway, I signed up for their mailing list, and I kind of like the idea of making a dishcloth a month because, one, I need to replenish some of my dishcloths, and two, what better way to practice knitting skills? And it's kind of like a make-along or just a year-long something motivator. So I kind of like this idea, and I think I'm going to start it next week. I do have January and February and March's patterns already. If I can't get through the January pattern, well, we'll talk later. This will come up again. Maybe. If I don't mention it again ever, it means it didn't go well, and we'll just pretend like it's, new Coke. We just don't talk about it. My friend Lynn has started a hashtag called Crochet for Me 2023. And I love this idea, which is so fun because this go round, this season of my life, I've been crocheting since I was a wee little girl of 9. And most of the time I was crocheting for other people. I would crochet things for my mom, for the house, which is still an extension of for my mom. I would make, baby blankets for friends or just whatever. I was always making stuff, but it was for someone else. I made baby blankets for my babies, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until, again, this go round, from 2022. Yeah, I think that was when I first started really trying to make something specifically for myself. And I got more, I've always enjoyed crocheting, but making something for myself just looking at like the books that make up my crochet library now, they're more like stuff for Jackie. That's not what they're called, but you know what I'm saying. Stuff for Jackie. Stuff for Jackie's feet. Stuff for Jackie's head. Stuff for Jackie's ego. Whatever. It's so empowering to make things for yourself. And because, I don't know, for me, like other things that I have tried to do, if I was going to make something, if I sat down to say, I'm making this for me, I would never, ever finish it, ever. But if I said, I'm going to make this for, Francine, I could whip it out like that. And then I started thinking to myself, well, what if I just call myself Francine? And then I could just make it for her, and then I'll just keep it. Between 20, I have to wait for my tongue to catch up with my brain. Yeah. Please hold.
A few moments later.
Was it good hold music? Okay. So yeah, even in 2020, all the things I was making were for other people. And I didn't even have a specific person in mind necessarily, but that's, when I started making the shawls and I was giving all of the shawls away. And I ended up keeping maybe 3, and I have one left I need to ship off. She lives out of state. But anyway, yeah, so 2022 was really when I started focusing on making things for me, and I don't feel bad about it because I mean, I still make things for other people. I also want to make, I don't know why I leaned back to look because, you know, this, my youngest daughter, we'll call her Bob because she went by Bob for the longest time when she was little. Bob is a huge fan of Friends, the TV show. Bob is 19. Anyway, I found a graph gan for Friends and I bought the pattern and I want to make this for her so badly. It's like I get giddy just picturing her reaction to receiving this thing. Now, so here's the issue. The pattern doesn't, the way the pattern lays out the yarn colors, it's not very concise. Is that the right word? Because each of the pieces of the Afghan are squares, they just have like, you know, square one, these yarn colors, square two, these yarn colors, which I guess that's good if you were only making, you know, specific squares. If your base blanket is, you know, 17 squares or whatever, you know, everybody should make that. And I feel like all the colors should be together and it'd say like, okay, if you need yellow, you need 6 yellows. But because it's not broken up that way, I have to go through the entire pattern to look to see how many times or how much yellow I'm going to need instead of it all being, you know, right up here. Yeah. Does that make sense? Am I coming through? Anyway, so I went to Michael's today and they had this huge sign. My Michael's is closing. I was so sad. I went in there. They weren't even playing the music. That was sad. They said that they're going to be reopening in another location in town. But when I asked, like, okay, so where? She's like, well, it'll probably be, okay. Probably tells me that you're not 100% sure that you're moving. Because if you don't even know where you're moving to, yeah, so there's going to be some downtime. There's going to be some time in my town with no Michaels. Sure, we have Joanne and Hobby Lobby, but so I went in there because I was going to get some yarn to start the blanket, but I was just so sad. The yarn didn't speak to me, and I like the Craft Smart, which, God, everything has gotten so expensive. And that's the first time I think I've been in Michael's since, I don't know, maybe in the last 6 months. I've been ordering online, but yeah, it was sad. The last yarn store I went into was Joanne. Yeah, it was just kind of disappointing. So anyway, I want to pop a picture, if I didn't already, of the Friends blanket. And I'm whispering because I would like to make it as a surprise. And I will make it panel by panel, I think, because it's not the same as making a granny square. So I should be okay. But I'm genuinely excited to make this for her. So isn't that cool? So I'm going to make the tank top for Not Hetty and the blanket for Bob and socks for my husband. Oh, I can't believe he asked for socks. Y'all, my husband is so finicky. But in the last 2 years, the last project I made of 2021 was a cardigan for him because he asked for one, and he just wears it kind of like a robe around the house. But I don't care. I love it, and I love looking at him in it, and he loves it. And yeah, and he picked out the colors, picked out the design. Yep, and it was a Grace for the Frills pattern because, you know, Grace rocks. Gosh, I have like, hello. So we have 20 days left of the Shalala.
Wow!
Can you believe it? I mean, we're almost done. Y'all, I have to say, this experience has been amazing, and I definitely want to do it again. Yeah, I want to do another kind of make along, and I'm thinking maybe towards the fall winter time, making something different. I mean, I've got a couple of ideas. Yeah, I don't want to say too much because I can't remember what it was. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't want to show my hand because I don't have anything to show. In case y'all didn't know, the company Hobie, you know Hobie, the yarn company from Denmark. Every Monday in the United States, I'm going to preface it with that. In the United States, every Monday at 10 Central Time, they have bingo. And it's a simple way of playing bingo. It's a little frustrating, but it's bingo. Here's what's cool about it. You log in and they give you 2 cards. You play one card for 3 rounds and then the second card for 3 rounds. You can only get horizontal bingos. That's kind of frustrating. But halfway through the game, they give you bonus points that you can use in their point store on their website. And then you get certain discounts that are only available to people who played the bingo game. Now, here's why I think it's cool, is because after you've logged in and they've given you the card, you don't actually have to press any of the buttons. You know, if they call your number or whatever, it's all automated. So if you get a bingo, which I'm going to assume this is what happens because I've been playing for several months, and yet I've gotten within like 2 numbers. Anyway, if you get a bingo, it's all automated. And when you have now you have to use the Hobie app and make sure that your address and information is correct, your shipping information, because if you win, they will automatically ship it to you. So I'm telling you this because, one, it's kind of a fun thing to do, especially when you're not really having to do anything. There's chat and stuff in there, but I would not get involved in that because there's like, I don't know, 700 people playing around the country. I don't even know. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. And I don't like chat because there's always that one person that's like,
I don't understand. How come I don't win bingo?
There's always that one person. So I don't deal with that. I just turn it on and then pretty much sit and crochet while listening to my numbers not get called. And it's free. Did I mention that part? It's free. And it takes about an hour. So just throwing that out there in case you didn't know. But that was on my list of things to tell you. Okay. Show and fail. Y'all remember that beautiful story that I told you about the vest that I was testing? So, quick update. After I finished I did the front panels, I did the back panel, all of my numbers were the same. Everything was, I tried it on. First of all, she doesn't have you join the shoulders until after you've joined the bottom. And I didn't know that. So it was hard for me to figure out what was the top, because the part I thought was the top actually was the bottom. and how she has you pay. Long story short, I was making the size extra large. It ended up being the size 5X. Now, I mentioned this to somebody in the comment section because she was very, her comment was very on point, every designer should read that comment because it makes all the sense in the world. Because when she had us do the swatch, the gauge swatch, it was just for single crochets. And the single crochet makes up maybe this much of the whole pattern on both sides, right? The majority of it is like the shell kind of pattern. But we didn't have to, so this part that I did, that part matched the gauge. I am no longer testing that pattern. It was a mutual decision. Both me and myself, because I talked to the designer. I mean, she was completely aware of all the things that was happening. And I even said, is it possible that we should do our gauge swatch based on this as opposed to that? And she just said, you can either frog the whole thing and redo it or drop out. So I dropped out. This was not my fault, mainly because, again, I really truly feel like the gauge swatch lied, but it wasn't the gauge swatch's fault. I feel like more should have been included in the gauge swatch. I can't imagine I'm the only person that had this issue. I can't imagine it. But there. I hope that everyone is doing well with their shawls. Again, more people are submitting photos, and I have not forgotten. I am going to film the video showing you how to add your photos to the Ravelry group. There are two ways to do it, and I had mentioned it in the first video. You can simply, and I'm saying simply, like an easy way to do it is if you've already uploaded your photo in Ravelry, you just go to your project page and it shows you groups, and you can share the photo with the group just by, clicking the drop down and looking for GlamFam, click it there, and it'll populate it over to the GlamFam group. So that's the easy, quick and dirty way of doing it. But I will do a little more involved video showing you how to upload it directly onto the shawl along thread. Okay, well, I think that's it. Yes, that's it. Oh, if you like this video, please like this video. If you want to stick around and become a member of the GlamFam, you can do that by clicking that subscribe button. And don't forget to rock that notification bell. Until next time, I've been Jackie.